Hello everyone, this lesson is going to be about slope and introduction to slope. We're going to find slope of a line using rise over run and y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Alright, so we're going to get right to it. And we're going to go down to the do now, and it says find the values of y if the set is x equals 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I already put the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the x set right here for you. All we're really going to do is substitute into the equation here. So we have y equals, and then 2 times 0. And anytime you go ahead and substitute, you can just put the parentheses around the number that you're substituting for multiplication. 2 times 0 is 0, and plus 1 is 1. So then we're going to have y equals, we're going to substitute 1 this time as the x, the input. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then y equals 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1 is 5. And we're going to keep on going, substituting 3 in this time and getting 7. And then y equals 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 1 is 9. So what we're going to add right now is just an x and comma y coordinate. We're going to create the coordinates based on our input and output. The x is always the input. That's the number you're substituting into the equation. And the y is the output. So in coordinates, the x gets listed first, and then the y gets listed second. So we would have 0, 1, x and y, 1, 3, x and y, 2, 5, 3, 7, 4, 9, and so on and so forth. When you number a graph, when you're numbering a graph, you start with 0 right here. Or when we're numbering this graph, we're going to start with 0. And then we're going to just count. You notice that I'm putting the numbers right exactly under each line. We do not count boxes. We're going to count lines. So each line is an increase of 1 in this case. And then on the y-axis, we're going to do the same thing. Remember not to put the numbers in the middle of a box. And we're going to go all the way up to 15. And that's it. When we substitute and plot these coordinates, 0 is the x, so we're not going to move left, we're not going to move right. And then we're going to go up 1. So 0, 1 would be that point right there. 1, 3 would be 1 to the right and 3 up, just like this, like you see. 2, 5, 2 to the right and 5 up. 3, 7, 3 to the right and 7 up. And then 4, 9 would be your last point that we have there. So take a ruler and connect those points right to the end of that endpoint. All right, that is not a line. That is called a line segment. So you don't want to graph that, but just for illustrative purposes, I just want to kind of talk to you about the rise and the run and a linear function. Remember, the rise and run, that's slope, and the slope stays the same for any linear function. So we're just going to take a look at the rise over run at this point. So if you take this point right here and you go up, and it's the rise, and then you run, that rise is 2 and 1. So that slope is known as 2 over 1, which is 2. If you take this point right here and go up against 1, you have the same exact thing. That's a rise of 2 and a run of 1. And if you just keep on going, this is 2 and 1. That slope stays the same. So what you can do is that you could rise 2, another 2, and run 1, make a point, rise 2, run 1, make a point, and then rise 2 and run 1, make a point, and continue that line. And you notice that it is a perfectly straight line. And I'll do that again. It's a perfectly straight line. What you want to do when you draw a line like this, you want to go beyond the last point and you want to put an arrow because it goes in that direction forever. And then on this line, we're going to name it as y equals 2x plus 1. That is the equation of that line, and that's what you kind of label that line, and you put on that line for like the purposes of someone else looking at the line and knowing that that equation is what it equals. You notice that this rise over run is 2 over 1, 2 over 1, 2 over 1. That is the slope, which is right here. And then the y-intercept, which is known as b, is right here. This is the 1. All right, that's the starting point. All right, we'll get that more as we go. So we have a couple of questions here. Which quadrant on the Cartesian plane, coordinate plane, has no positive values? So let me just go ahead and put down and draw a coordinate plane. This would be your y. This is your x. And remember, even the y and the x lines, they still get arrows. They go in each direction forever. So this is your x, this is your y right here. So the first quadrant is always the positives, all right? So like they're always the positive quadrants, right? So going to the right and up would be both positive. Then you go counterclockwise and you go to the second quadrant, going this way. And then going this way again would be the third quadrant. And then going this way again would be that fourth quadrant. So which quadrant has no positive values, all negatives? So that would be going to the left, all negatives on the x-axis, and then down on that y-axis in that area. So this would be the third quadrant. For the second question, a lot of people do not understand how to do this, but it is just an input versus an output. So we're just going to take this equation. They give us the equation y equals 3x minus 6. And we're going to substitute the 1 in as the x and see if we get the output as negative 10. So we have y equals 3 times 1 minus 6. 3 times 1 minus 6 is 3. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. So y does not equal negative 3. In this case, that's out. So we're going to just go to here for b. The x is 2. So I'm going to put in parentheses 2 minus 6. Let's see if the y equals 0. 6 minus 6, y equals 0. That is it. So this is your x, this is your y. No need to check the rest of them. They're not going to work. Okay. So when we're talking about slope, we're talking about positive, negative slope, a slope of 0, and an undefined slope. So what we're talking about right here is always reading a graph the way you read a book from left to right. So we're just going to start on the left side and move to the right side as we look at the graph. And as we glance at this graph, this hamster on this bicycle is going up from left to right. And since that hamster is going up, we say that this is a positive slope. The same thing right here with this hamster, but this hamster from left to right is going downhill. And you could see that is a downhill line from left to right. So we say that is a negative slope. For this hamster right here, it is really the hamster's traveling on a flat surface. The flat surface is a horizontal line. And just remember, a horizontal line is like the horizon. When you look at the horizon, it's like this, right? So the way I always kind of remember that what slope this has, see this O right here? It reminds me of a 0, and that is the slope. The slope, M, is the slope. The slope is 0. Slope is 0. So the M is the variable that we use for slope, and horizontal line, when you see it, has a 0 slope. This is a vertical line. A vertical line has an undefined slope. So the slope is undefined. That means you cannot figure out and calculate what the slope is, the incline or decline of a line. The slope is the incline or decline of a line, and that means if you have a completely vertical line, you cannot figure that out. The run on that line, which is the denominator of your fraction, is 0 because there is no run. It's vertical. You can't divide by 0 in math. It'll give you divide by 0 error in the calculator. So we say that that slope is undefined. That being said, let's go ahead and look at each of these graphed lines. This line right here, B, is steeper. So just by the looks of it, it is steeper. But this is basically how you would figure out or calculate the slope of each line. We have a point over here, right here, and we have a point right here. These are perfect points. They are in the corner of each box, and that's very, very important to be in the corner of each box. You didn't really have to choose the points. They were chosen for you. So we're going to take this point right here on the left side and draw a triangle, a right triangle, over to 3, and then we're going to go up to that other point. So the rule is that really what you create should look like a right triangle, and it does. You have to stay on the grids, so you can't do like a catty corner line off the grid. Notice that I went from that one point all the way over to the right and then up, right? So far, we know that this has a positive slope. A positive slope goes up from left to right. We know that just looking at it goes up from left to right. When we're counting, we're going to count each line, and I'm going to do the hops 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is a positive 5. You're going to the right 5, that's positive. If you're going to the left, that's negative. And then we're going to go up 1, 2, and 3. So the slope, which is M, and its rise over run, the rise is 3, the run is 5. So the slope is 3 over 5. That is your answer. Take a look at this line right here. It is a much steeper line just by the look of it. So I'm going to go to the right and then up. So I'm going to count the same thing. I'm going to use those 2 points, 1 and 2. I'm going to the right, so I'm going to put 2. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the slope is, again, rise over run. 6 is my rise. My run is 2. In this case, 6 divided by 2 is 3 over 1. Or you could put just 3. So the M equals 3. Notice that the slope, what type of slope each have, they're both positives. Notice that the slope that is 3 is steeper. So the further away from 0 a slope is, the steeper the line. The further away from 0 a slope is, the steeper the line. And we'll get into that and we'll write that down on the next slide. So just take a look at these two lines. Which one is steeper? This one is steeper. They both have a negative slope because they are going down from left to right. Both of these are going downhill from left to right. So both of them will have negative slopes. So let's go ahead and figure out the slope of each. If at any time that you want to try it on your own, just pause the video, then try it on your own, and then come back and press play and see if you got it right. So I'm just going to make my triangle. It's going down and then to the right. So going down, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is a negative 7. Sorry, I didn't switch to the pen again. That's a negative 7. I went down, so that's why I'm putting negative 7. Then I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my rise over run is negative 7 over 4. And you leave the slope that way. It is m equals that. Negative 7 over 4. I'm going to go ahead and do this one right here. And I don't know why that's moving. All right, we're going to go down, and then we're going to go to the right. And then we're going to count as well. We're going to go 1, 2. Since I went down, that's negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's positive because I went to the right. All right, going to the right is positive. Going to the left is negative on the x-axis. So I'm going to put my rise over run together. My rise is negative 2, and my run is 8. M equals, and I'm going to reduce that fraction, negative 1 over 4. That is the slope. This is the slope. Just realize the steeper the line, and look at the A, it is steeper, the further away from 0. So negative 7 over 4 is further away from 0 than negative 1 over 4. So both lines have a negative slope. Just remember, there are two ways to find slope of a line. This one way is what we're concentrating on now. Remember, the slope formula is rise over run. It's actually used for when you have 2 points on a graph. It does not matter if you go to the right. Starting point right here, going to the right would be a positive 7. Down would be a negative, right? So just remember, you're going down negative 6. It would be negative 6 over 7, rise over run. That's a negative slope. Even if you started here with this point, if you go up, that's positive 6. Go to the left, that's negative 7. 6 over negative 7 is the same thing. Remember, fraction is division. It does not matter which point that you start with, as long as if you see have a negative slope like this, like these two lines do, that one, either the numerator or denominator, is negative. All right. So if both of them are negative, negative divided by a negative is positive. But if one is negative, it doesn't matter which one at this point. It means that the slope is negative. All right, let's just talk about this right here. Does a line graph have a positive or negative slope? Right off the bat, you should say definitely positive. Looking at this line, it is going up from left to right. It is going up from left to right. So that means we know that this is going to be a positive slope. To find the slope of this line graphed, I'm going to go to the right and then up. By the way, you can go up and to the right. It doesn't matter. At this point, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 7. So the slope, find the slope. the slope is rise over run. And the slope is, the rise is 7 and the run is 10. So m equals 7 over 10. That is the slope. You do not divide it. You don't do anything to put it into a decimal or anything like that. And that's it. So draw a line with a slope of 0. I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a horizontal line. I'll do that over again. There is my horizontal line. I'm going to put another arrow on the other side. Just make sure that you know that they're arrows. And then put m equals 0. This is a horizontal line, has a slope of 0. Taking a look at this again, I'm going to go down. All right. I'm going to go down and to the right. Right off the bat, I know that this has a negative slope because it goes down from left to right. That's nice. It just changed colors. Negative slope goes down from left to right. So I'm going to go down from here to here, and obviously that's only 1, but I'm going to put a negative 1 because I went down. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. I'm going to put a positive there. It says find the slope. I'm going to put rise over run. That is my formula for slope. The rise is always this number here, which is negative 1. The run is always the number that you're on the x-axis. You're running like you run in gym, left and right. All right, so this is negative 1 over 4. That's the slope. That's it. Says draw a line of that has an undefined slope. So I'm just going to draw that line just like this. And at this point right here, I'm just going to put the arrows. Remember, an undefined line is a vertical line. Vertical line has an undefined slope. Okay, so we're just going to explore these rise over runs. Just looking at them though, there's one line that has a negative slope. You think you know which one just by the sight of the line that has a negative slope. If you picked number 2, that is correct. It does have a negative slope. The rest of them, 1 and 3, they do have a positive slope. So go ahead and try these on your own. And you can just come back and like pause the video. You could press pause now. Okay, so now I just put on the top that 1 and 3 are positive, and then 2, that's the one that's negative. So I'm just going to count to the right here on this one, number 1, and I know that that one right there is 2, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4. So the rise over run is 4 over 2. The rise over run comes out to be, and the slope comes out to be 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. This one is a negative slope right off the bat. We know that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're going down 5, that's negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to the right 4, that is positive 4. Negative 4 over 5. You leave it that way. It doesn't work out as a whole number. All right, so this one is definitely going to be positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rise is 7, run is 5. And that's basically it. All right, find the slope of each of the lines. Calculate the slope graph. These are both positive slopes, obviously. And that's it. If you're looking, B is steeper. So we know that it is. Go ahead, pause the video now, and try these on your own. Okay, so we did these before. This was the same slide that we had in slide 3. These are the slopes. Hopefully you got those questions correct. Remember the steepness of the line, the connection that you can make between slope and the steepness of the line is that the further away the slope is from 0, the steeper the line is. So this is the connection that we want you to get here. The further away the slope is from 0, no matter if it's positive or negative slope, the steeper the line will be. So a slope with a -5 and a -3, the -5 is going to be steeper. It's further away from 0. The slope is 10, the slope is 6, the 10 has a steeper slope. And that's really the connection that we want you to make. On the next page, go ahead. Both of these have negative slopes. We'll come back and we'll take a look at the answers and we'll make that connection again. You can press pause now. Okay, so that first one again has a -7/4, and the second one has a -1/4. These are the same graphs that we did on, I think, page 4. What type of slope does each have? Yes, these are negative. They're going down from left to right, and the connection is the further away the slope is from 0, the steeper the line will be. And that is everything there. All right. Go ahead and take a look at these. Which line is steeper? So you're looking at these slopes and you're saying, okay, 6 is further away from 0 than 3. 6 is steeper. Line with a slope of -5 or a line with a slope of -2. -5 is steeper. A line with a slope of 3 or a line with a slope of 3. These are the same slope. So further away from 0, the steeper the line. A fast finisher, which is steeper, a line with a slope of -8 or a line with a slope of 6. The -8 is steeper. It doesn't matter. The further away from 0 a number is, the steeper the line. It doesn't matter if one's negative, one's positive. The main difference that you understand is that a negative slope goes down from left to right, and a positive slope goes up. And that's it. The mid-lesson assessment, take a second and do the rise over run. See if you could get the answer. You could press pause and try the problem now. So if you picked A, that is correct. This is a negative slope. So looking at this first thing, you notice that you should notice that the line goes down from left to right. So the correct thing to do is actually cancel out the positive slopes. They'll probably give you 2 positive slopes for a negative slope, and vice versa. If there's a positive slope, they'll give you 2 negatives. Cancel them out. So it's only between -2 and -1/2. Please don't jump on with the -1/2. This is a rise over run question. It's -10/5. So you grab your calculator. Just remember, grab the calculator. -10 divided by 5 is -2. It is not -1/2. And that's all I wanted to show you. Okay, let's go on to the next part of the slope lesson. This is the other formula. When you have 2 points, when they give you coordinates, you don't use rise over run unless you want to graph each one. And you don't really want to do that. You want to just do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. A little bit easier. Just remember, when they give you the points right here, they give you these points. They don't have a graph. So you have to figure out the slope. This is the first x you see, so it is x1. This is the first y you see, so that is y1. This is the second x you see, so that's x2. And that's y2. So I'm going to put down 2, 3 as x1, y1, and then 4, 6 as x2, y2. when you substitute it into the formula, just remember you rewrite the formula. You put the line and then you put the minus signs in. The minus signs are from the formula themselves. Remember, the first thing that you put down is the formula itself. And then you put down these minus signs, and this is prepping your formula for the substitution that you're going to do next. All right, so 6 minus 3, that's what you labeled. And y1 is 3, that's what you labeled. x2 is 4, and x1 is 2. So when you do 6 minus 3, you get 3 over 2. So just remember, you could just take your calculator, and we're going to clear that out. We're going to press alpha x, and all at once, we do 6 minus 3 over 4 minus 2. Altogether, it is 3 over 2. Let the calculator do the work for you. Don't do each one separately like I just did right here, but this was kind of easy. 6 minus 3 and 4 minus 2. 3 over 2 is your answer. It stays like that. It is a positive slope. So right now, we're going to do rise over run, and then we're going to use the other slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The reason why we're doing both at the same time, or like one right after another consecutively, is because we want to show you that each slope formula, rise over run, is really the same thing. This y2 minus y1 is the rise. So let me just get back to my pen. So this is the rise. This is the run. So you're using rise over run, but you're using y2 minus y1, figuring out how much it did rise. And then run is the x2 minus x1. That's how much it did run from left to right. So we're just going to go ahead, do A, and we're going to just draw your right triangle. This is the rise over run that we're going to use. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So since I went down, it's negative 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive 5. So the rise over run is negative 10 over 5. Yes, this is a negative slope. It's a negative slope, goes down from left to right. You should realize that right off the bat. And that's it. But let's take a look at these coordinates. They don't give you the coordinates. We are going to go get them though. Going to the left, negative 5. We're going to the left 5 is negative 5. Going up 4 would be negative 5, 4. Left 5 and up 4 is negative 5, 4. Now the next one, B, is kind of tricky. You don't go right or left, so that is 0x. And then we go down 6, and that's negative 6. Remember, going down is negative 6. All right, so now we're going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. If you do not label, you are putting yourself in a world of, you're just asking yourself to, be confused and like maybe misplace a negative here and there. Make sure that you're labeling. Make sure that you're writing the formula down. It is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. People have a tendency that when they don't write it down to actually mix up the numbers. Don't do that. Write it down. Take a second, right? You notice that I set up the formula. The subtraction signs are ready. So now I just have to substitute in. I have y2, which is negative 6, and then y1, which is 4. This x2 is 0, and then this is negative 5. So I'm going to get a double negative out of that. So this is 0 minus a negative 5. That minus sign, the first one, came from the formula. The negative 5 itself is from the coordinate. So double negative, remember, keep change changes actually to a positive. As soon as you see two negatives in a row, minus and a negative number, that becomes a positive. So it's really like 0 plus 5. So I'm going to grab my calculator and do, go to alpha x, and I'm going to do negative 6 minus 5. And then on the bottom, I'm going to do 0 plus 5. And that's exactly what this says, negative 6 minus 4, and then 0 plus 5. So I'm going to do that again because I have the wrong thing. So I'm going to go alpha x, that's negative 6 minus 4, and then 0 plus 5. The calculator is going to give you the answer of negative 2. Who cares how it got there? You're not doing this separately. And yes, it does match up with the rise over run. When you did rise over run, you did get negative 2. All right? So same thing here. We're going to just go ahead and do rise over run. I know that looking at this, or you should know, that this line goes down from left to right, and this is a positive, this is a negative slope just because of that. So we're going to go down 2. That is a negative 2. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a positive 8. So the rise over run is negative 2 over 8. And you reduce that to negative 1 over 4. The coordinates going to the left 9 and up 9. Left 9 is negative 9 on the x. Up 9 is positive 9. The second set of coordinates, left 1, which is negative 1, comma, and then up 7 is positive 7. So we're going to see if we get negative 1 over 4. Are the slopes the same? Well, let me just see. I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I'm going to put, here's the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to set up the formula, and I'm going to put y2 in as 7, and then the y1 in as 9. The x2 is negative 1, and then the x1 is negative 9. Notice I have that double negative. I'm going to change it to both positives. Keep, change, change. So the first part of my fraction is 7 minus 9. And I don't know why I put 6. And then the second part of my fraction is negative 1 plus 9. And once I press enter, I get negative 1/4. And look at that. It is the same as the rise over run. Let the calculator do the math for you. You're not going to, don't depend on yourself to get every bit of the math correct. Let the calculator do it, and then you're definitely going to get it correct. All right, so I'll do that first one with you, and then you could do the second one. So we're going to label again x1, y1, x2, y2. And I see the slope formula up here. And subtraction. So we're going to put 1, which is y1, y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. So once I'm going to just get this calculator up, press alpha x. This is 1 minus 1. And then 13 minus 4 in the denominator. And then we're going to press enter, and I'm going to get 0. So this is a horizontal line. So go ahead and try that second one on your own. So when you have, I was just going to get the calculator back up here. Just remember, I did this like by hand, but the thing is, if you have a calculator that does not, like the alpha x, I keep on pressing alpha x and the fraction symbol comes up. If you don't have a calculator that does that, just press alpha y and then this will come up. And then you could press 1 and you could have that nice fraction symbol there. -8 or template is -2. And then, 3 minus 2 is the denominator of your fraction. Once you press enter, it gives you -10. Let the calculator do all of the math for you. Don't think that you can do it on your own. You might make a mistake. You don't want to make a mistake on addition and subtraction. So just going quickly, you have x1, y1, x2, y2. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to set that up. y2, 10 minus 3, and then 4 x2 minus x1. Right? So I'm going to bring the calculator back up again, and I'm going to just move it over just a little bit right here so I could see it. I'm going to press alpha x, and then I'm going to go 10 minus 3 over 4 minus 4. And you're going to notice something here. This is the reason why I wanted to kind of bring it up. It says error, divide by 0. That's because you have a 4 minus 4 in your bottom part of the fraction, your denominator. You cannot divide by 0. What this comes out to be is that this 10 minus 3 is 7, and then 4 minus 4 is 0. So that is undefined. You cannot divide by 0. Right? You cannot divide by 0. And in math, that is undefined. You can't do it. All right? And this really is a horizontal vertical line. So if you just quickly draw a little grid here and just do 4, 3, 4, 3 would be something like right here, and then 4, 10 would be right here. That is a vertical line. All right, look at it. It's just like a little sketch, shows you that it's vertical, and that's an undefined slope. So here's your x1, here's your y1, here's your x2, this is your y2. So I'm going to put this slope formula down as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then a subtraction symbol for each one. Y2 is my -7. Y1 is -5. Notice I have a double negative. I'm going to put that plus plus. All right, keep, change, change. -3 minus a -2. Again, plus plus. Do not try to do that on your own. We're just going to move this over here, and we are going to get this going. And this is not working out for me. Clear that error out that you had that last time. And then again, alpha x. So we're going to do -7 plus 5. And then we're going to go down -3 plus 2. Even if you put the double negatives in, you'll the calculator will figure it out for you. And it will give you the same answer, but just as a thing where you might come up, we might have another situation where you see a double negative. Just remember, double negatives turn to a positive. So this is a slope of 2. If you did this by hand, this would be -2 over -1. Negative divided by a negative is positive. So that's the reason why you are getting that +2. All right, so we have a whole bunch of questions here. Go ahead, try to find the slope for each of these using rise over 1, 2, and 3. And then 4, 5, and 6, go ahead and use the formula. We'll come back with the answers. Press pause now. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. The first one has a negative slope. You could probably tell that just by going down from left to right. So it's -5 is the rise. The run is 4. The second one has a slope of 1 over 6. It is a positive slope. The positive means that it goes up from left to right. And 1 is your rise, 6 is your run. That is a vertical line for number 3, and that means that is undefined. That should be something that you should be able to identify immediately without any question whatsoever. Okay, so for number 4, 5, and 6, I said to pause it. I'm going to pause it again, and then we'll come back with all the answers. So here we go. Number 4 is a 0 slope. We have 0 on the top, -6 on the bottom. If you put the whole thing into your calculator at once, it will give you 0. Number 5 will give you divide by 0 error. And number 6 will be the same thing. Undefined, undefined. When you get that divide by 0 error, it is undefined. So for the try these. These are a little bit more difficult, and I'll go through exactly what you need to do. So just remember, you always start out with just labeling x1, y1, x2, y2. Just like that. And then you have m equals, and we're going to have k, because that's the y2 at this point, 3 minus 3, and then 5 minus 1. They say that the slope is 2, so that m equals 2. So we're just going to use a little bit of substitution in here. So we have this m. Instead of m, we're going to put 2. And then we're going to put k minus 3 over 5 minus 1. So I'm going to turn this into a proportion. And I know, like, sometimes you're like, wow, like, that is a proportion. If you just put 1 underneath the 2, which any number has 1 underneath it as the denominator, it turns into a proportion, because proportion has like 2 fractions separated by that equal sign. So we're going to use the butterfly method now. So this right here is 1 times k minus 3. 1 times k minus 3 is just k minus 3. And then it's 2, and 5 minus 1 is 4. So we're just going to say 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Then you add 3 on both sides, and you get k equals 11. That's it. Right? Same thing with this one, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to have m equals, and we're just going to set that up. This is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus a -4. And we're just going to add that plus plus. Instead of m, we're going to put this -1/5 as the m, -1 over 5. So we don't even have to change it into a fraction. It's a fraction already. -7 minus k over 6 plus 4. And instead of 6 plus 4, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in as 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. All right. This cannot be any slower. All right, 10. Okay, and then we're going to use that butterfly method. -1 times 10 is -10. And then we're going to set this up 5 times -7 minus k. We're going to set it up like distributive property because it's 5 times the entire expression. So be careful with that. -10 equals, and we're going to do distributive property, which is 5 times -7 is -35, and 5 times -k is -5k. And then you just solve. You add 35 to both sides. This cancels. -10 plus 35, always use your calculator, this is 25, equals -5k. Then you just divide by -5 on both sides. And k equals -5. So you figured out what k, the missing number, would be as -5. So this would be -5. If you did the slope formula and substituted that -5 in, it would be -1/5. If you did the slope formula and substituted 11 in on the other side, right here for number 1, that would be a slope of 2. All right, and that is how you do that one. All right, so just wanted to show you one other thing before we end this video. It's when you have a table of values, it's the same thing as when you have just the coordinates given to you. The table of values includes the coordinates. So this is your x1, and then this would be your y1. You could label it right on the table itself. You could use any of the points. You don't have to choose the first two. You could choose the first point. You could choose the last. You could choose the middle two. It does not matter. I've seen other students do 1, 8. Just be careful because this is a horizontal table and it's going this way. So this is x and then this is your y. All right. So 1, 8 and 4, 6. And that's the way some people did it. If you whatever way you find easier would be perfect. All right. So m is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to have it's nice and easy because there are no negatives. Y2, I have 6 labeled. So this is my x1, this is my y1, this is my x2, this is my y2. My 6 minus 8, and then 4 minus 1. If you put this entire thing into the calculator, you press alpha x, and you do 6 minus 8 over 4 minus 1, and you press enter, you get -2/3. M equals -2/3. And that's it. Just that table, you could just label it on the table itself, or you could take out 2 of the coordinates and label them that way. What do you notice about the pattern of the x's and pattern of the y's? Well, the x's are increasing by 3. That's the pattern. It's remaining the same. And the y is decreasing by -2. And then when that y decreases, that means that when the x increases and the y decreases, you're probably going to have a negative slope. You will have a negative slope, and we do. And that is it. So on the bottom, there are 2 other tables. Go ahead and try them and press pause now. We'll come back with the answers. So we have A at 3/2. I picked the first 2 points. I labeled it right on the actual table itself. If I wanted to take it out, it would be 1, 2, and then 3, 5. If I wanted to take that out, this B table, I took the first pair of coordinates that they gave me the coordinates that they gave me, -3 and 6, and made it x1, y1. And then I skipped to 0, 0. I'll always, if I see 0, 0, I think it's easier to deal with, so I'll always use it. If I see positive coordinates, I'll skip past the negatives. In this case, we had all negatives on the x up until 0. So we had x2 and y2 as 0, 0, and I put 0 minus 6. 0 minus 6 is the y2 minus y1, and the x2 minus x1 is 0 minus a -3, which became 3. I put it right in the calculator, you get -2 as your slope. All right. Just one other thing that we're talking about here, this rise over run, go ahead and see if you could find the slope and then see what you notice about each. Go ahead to get the slope of each line using rise over run. Okay, so the slopes of both of these lines, you should have 7/10 rise over run. And pretty simple because it's positive. They're going up from left to right. What do you notice about the slopes? The slopes were the same, 7/10. And then can you conclude with two lines that have the same slope? When the slopes are the same, the lines will be parallel, and that's it. Parallel lines have the same slope, and that's really what this whole page is showing you. Here is the exit slip assessment. Go ahead and see if you could do this one and get this correct. We'll come back with that answer. Press pause now. So here you go, x1, y1, x2, y2, -8 minus 2 with y2 minus y1, and then -1 minus 3. These are not back-to-back negatives, so there's no plus that you have to change, right? No keep change. There's nothing going on. It's just subtraction. Then you bring up your calculator, you put this directly in, and you press enter, and you get 5/2. Calculator gives it to you. 5/2, C is your answer. And that is it. All right. And that's about it. That's the summary, and that's the end of the lesson. If you got that right, then that's great. If this helped, that's awesome. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.